I started with a marketing agency, which I ran for years, and it was moderately successful. It was successful enough to pay my bills and give me a comfortable lifestyle, but it was a bit of a grind. I learned about Accelerator. I took the marketing agency into Accelerator, had some great growth, learned some great lessons, but what happened was the pandemic, and things slowed down with my marketing agency. The fees kind of dried up. Everybody dialed back their ad spends, and I had a team of people who were really qualified. Marketing and sales support people that were on my team, and I started lending those people out to my clients just as a strategy to keep them loyal, to keep them engaged. I said, hey, let's provide some service for them so that when they open up their ad spend again, they'll come back to us. Eventually, some of them said, wow, this is great. Marketing and sales support from overseas. Can you help us get this sorted out on a full-time basis? At that point, I needed fees, so it was like anything, anything that I can charge you for, I'm going to charge you for.
It was the pandemic; people were doing whatever they had to do.
That's right. So all of a sudden, this new sort of opportunity presented itself. That business grew really nicely, and an Accelerator coach said to me, hey, look, you're going to have to choose. These are different businesses. You're either going to fail at both of them, or you can pick one to be successful at. I picked the virtual marketing and sales support angle and grew that into a separate business that's now called Augmentor, and eventually wound down the marketing agency. And very quickly, the virtual sales and marketing support business grew to be EO qualified, and I was able to jump over the line.
So I'm the president of the San Francisco chapter right now, and I couldn't be more humbled to be able to serve in that capacity. It's been an amazing experience and allowed me to grow, and I've gotten some amazing leadership training especially for a nonprofit organization, but also just herding a bunch of cats, as all entrepreneurs are. But I guess I'd back up and I'd first say that my biggest mistake is that I met a guy at the gym who was in EO, and he tried to convince me to join for 3 years. He took me to 3 different events, and I didn't have time to join EO. Biggest mistake ever. Now 12, I'm on my 12th year in Entrepreneurs Organization. I've had 2 major exits with the Entrepreneurs Organization that I wouldn't have had. I took a couple of companies public prior to that, and so I didn't really know the difference between managing a public company as a CFO and being an entrepreneur, hiring, firing, starting from scratch, zero, going through all the real estate, doing all the things that you do as an entrepreneur. But in Entrepreneurs Organization, you join and suddenly you get this thing called Gestalt or experience sharing, and all these people are doing these things around you, and you're inspired, and you're like, well, dang, if he can do it, I can do that. And my first forum experience, I'm in forum. There's 9 of us sitting around, and the guy who's the moderator, he's been moderator for all of one meeting. He comes into the meeting, he says, guys, I'm really sorry. It's been really great meeting you, but I just sold my company. I'm moving to Italy with my wife and child, and you guys are going to need another moderator. And I'm like, dang, if he can do that, I can do that. And I set in motion like a week later, and 3 years later, I sold my company. 8 figures to a VC and a foreign buyer, and I took another company on and ended up selling that to a multinational, and I don't think I would have done any of those things without Entrepreneurs Organization. So my biggest piece of advice is that sometimes when the machine gun salesman is standing outside of General Lee's tent yelling, Mr. Lee, I have machine guns for sale, and you don't turn to him and say, sorry, go away, I don't have time for you right now. Stop and actually think about what you're doing. And I got an immense amount out of EO, and I'm really glad that I finally did join the organization. And about 3 years later.
So I was an antitrust lawyer at Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher in San Francisco, and they would talk about what it takes to make partner, and I would just think, that is not for me. So I started to think about what else you could do, and these antitrust cases involve major international cartels, and the documents would be in China, and we'd be translating them and sending them to Germany, and I kind of had this light bulb moment, if the documents are not in the US, half the conduct is not in the US, half the clients are not in the US. Why are we doing all the legal work in the world's most expensive jurisdiction?
Yeah.
And so that's
city, San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. Why are we doing it all here? And so that's when I started to look at what other places had similar legal systems. And actually, the Philippines legal system was set up by the US following World War II. Oh. So actually, everything in the Philippines is basically identical. So the SEC is still the SEC. the National Bureau of Investigation, all the same systems. So that was what gave me the idea. And then I told the law firm I was quitting and moving to the Philippines, and they said, give us 6 months. And then off I went.
So you moved to the Philippines to start it. I haven't even heard this story. So that sounds dramatic.
Okay, so the first place I actually moved was back in with my parents. And
Naturally.
I said, because if I stay here in San Francisco, I'm going to have too much fun. So I'm going to move in with them. And when I've raised the money that I need to seed money and put together my business plan, then I can move out and go to the Philippines to get this started. So it took me 6 weeks to raise all the money that I needed.
You were motivated.
I was motivated. And then I moved to Manila. And I think one of the biggest challenges we had is that the system there is very complicated. I would have done things very differently now, but I didn't really know any better, and I didn't have many contacts or mentors. So it took us about a year to open our doors, and we've now been in business since, that was 2011, actually April 4th, yesterday, I guess.
So there must have been some people that thought you were crazy. You were leaving this high-paid job at this, impressive, reputable law firm. You move in with your parents and then move halfway around the world. There must have been a lot of people doubting you, asking, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot to get to where I was before I decided to take entrepreneurship on. But, the thing about being an entrepreneur, and you know this too, is that if that fire is in you, there is no way to put it out. You can't just sit there and have someone tell you what to do all day when you have your own ideas and places you want to go. So, I always say, leap before you look and build it on the way down. So I joined EO during the pandemic. It was actually, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn in the summer of 2020. The restaurants had just opened again in San Francisco, and they had an expert witness company. And they're like, I bet we could do some work together. So we're like, great, we'll go out to lunch. And we got there and realized sort of right away that the fee sharing rules around attorneys meant that we probably weren't going to actually be able to work together. And so he said to me, we're here, let's enjoy this lunch. And he goes, Catherine, you're an entrepreneur. This has been such a rough year. How are you doing? And I just burst into tears with this complete stranger from LinkedIn. And I'm crying at lunch. And I'm like, it has been so hard. And I am all by myself. And he just said, we got to get you an EO.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he set that up for me. And then I was actually got invited to an online test drive at that time because we were all still quarantining in that fall. And that joined the end of that year. I think when at the beginning, when you're looking at the cost and the time involved, it seems like a lot because you have not yet had a true appreciation of all the value you're going to get out of it. Now I can't believe how little we pay to be a part of this organization because it is the most transformative thing I have ever done in my life, personally, professionally. It's just the most transformative place and people.
So I've heard you say it's like the MBA I never got. Well, I got an MBA.
You actually have an MBA.
Right, so I got an MBA, so I've got a point of comparison, and I can tell you Accelerator is more practical, was more valuable, and frankly gave me the tools and the confidence and the community that I needed to grow my business. I learned a lot in business school. I had a great time, but if I had to choose, I might choose Accelerator or to recommend to entrepreneurs who are frustrated, who don't have all of the skills that they need to actually grow their business.
And you, like I, came directly into EO and got involved, and now you're on the board. Talk a little bit about what that's been like getting involved in the EO community.
Yeah, it's been great. I think it's really so much more than Accelerator. Accelerator is tremendously valuable, very, very practical, but the greater EO is really more holistic. So it's there for personal growth. It's there for emotional growth. It's there for challenges that come up in life that are professional and personal. It's also a lot of fun. I mean, it's great people. It's people who get it, who you can connect with, who you can be honest and open with. It's a trusting environment. And frankly, you get to do amazing things like go to Hawaii and hang out with 2,000 entrepreneurs for a week.
And that would be my next question is, so what have been your takeaways from the last couple of days hanging out here with 2,000 entrepreneurs in Hawaii, beautiful Hawaii?
It's been learning a lot, sort of drinking from a fire hose, if you will. Some of my takeaways are kind of board composition and management, both at the accelerator level and at the regular EO level, which is empower smart people, trust them to do great things, set expectations, have high goals, and actually your board should be able to deliver the results regardless of you as a leader taking things on. I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of us have control issues. We want to do everything. Well, you're in a community of entrepreneurs. Trust people to do things their way. Trust people to ask questions and access resources. And this is some of my learning from GLC.
7 years ago, I sold that first business, and I realized how much I got out of EO, and I just wanted to sort of give back. I also sort of found it to be kind of like a second forum. I've made some of the closest friends of my life on the board. I do things outside of the Entrepreneurs Organization with them, and it allowed me to serve and sort of give back, to mentor other individuals who are younger in their whatever journey that they were taking, to help out several young businesses who had some challenges through COVID and a couple of bankruptcies that they had to go through and have now pivoted and brought their companies around. And so at some point, as you know, John, I'm a big believer in, we go through the 4 S's of life: survival, stability, success, and I had all those 3. And the 4th S of life for me is significance or service. It's somehow giving back all of the things that's, if I've seen further, it is because I've stood on the shoulders of those who came before me. I believe that. I believe I wouldn't be here without mentors, and so I'm trying to give that back a little bit. And so that's given me an immense amount just by being on the board. And yeah, to your point, I've been learning chair, I've been mentorship chair, I've been the guru chair. I've gone through SAP, and now I'm president-elect finance and president now. So, and it's been a journey that I wouldn't trade for anything. It's one of the best things I did.
One of the things that Rob Castaneda, one of our former presidents, always says that really resonated with me in joining the board and getting more involved in the organization is that when you're in those moments of feeling overwhelmed, you actually have to do more, not less. It's like, when you're fishtailing, you got to hit the gas, not the brake. And that was really true for me. So I just, there was a need for someone to do events, and I really stepped into that role. And having that responsibility really then gave me the opportunity to meet so many people, not just in our chapter, but across the organization, and has really just continued to increase the value I get from my membership. Yeah. The crazy part is that we're in an organization where everyone's doing such amazing, transformational, innovative things that it doesn't even feel
crazy.
No, it doesn't feel crazy at all.
No. Everyone else is doing it.
Everyone else is doing it too. And it's been, one of my biggest support systems through this whole journey has been my forum. So they're the people who, when I'm having doubts or when I have ideas I need to get off my, things that I'm worried about, they're one of the first